This is Cult Faction Podcast Episode 12. Sequels equals fecal?
Superman.
Hi, you're listening to Cult Faction Podcast Episode 12. Sequels equal fecal. I'm your host, Damian Hicks, and as ever, I am joined by...
Paul Hawkins.
And Brett Summers.
Cool. Surnames. 3 weeks now. It's just... I don't like it, but let's just move on.
I've just turned my notepad on my iPhone to black, and I didn't know I could do that. I don't know how I did it. I just double tapped on it.
Does that mean you can't read anything?
No, the text is white. But
I see.
It's like night mode, that dark mode.
Cool.
I didn't. It looks a lot cooler.
You sure you didn't just drop it and it's broke now?
Well, yeah. No, I don't know what. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I just double hit something.
Science progresses daily, and you're catching up. It's great.
Yeah, every day's a school day.
Yeah,
it literally is for you, isn't it, Brett?
It's a blessing. It's a curse.
Cool. So, another week's gone by. Television delights have been consumed. Who wants to go first? Brett, what have you been watching?
Well, I did watch a bit more 21 Jump Street for a change. I'm getting halfway through season 2 now. There was
How many seasons were there?
I believe there were 5. So you've got this, I reckon, for about Christmas.
And until it turns like 40.
Yeah, and then I'll be done. Then I'll do the 2 films again. But no, there was a really good episode to look up if you just want awesome 90s TV. Basically, at the school, someone's doing really good fake IDs that even the police can't
say someone's doing drugs.
Of course, there's loads of episodes of drugs.
There's drugs and drink involved. But someone's doing these fake IDs, right, that even the police can't quite ID that they're fake because they're that good. So obviously, when stuff like that happens, they send in 2 undercover officers to a school to find out who it is.
That obviously haven't needed ID for 15 years.
Yes. But so then it turns out that the rich kid who's ordering all the IDs is Pauly Shore. But before he did anything else on TV, this is when he's still acting and not like, Pauly Shore. Yeah. At the moment, he's a rich kid with loads of money who's getting one of these IDs made. His best friend is Jason Priestley with a massive mullet. And the girl that hangs around with him, who they don't really make clear which one she's going out with, is, I can't remember her name, but she's the nice girlfriend in Teen Wolf. You know, the one like he dumps for like the slutty girl, then goes back to the nice girl at the end when she liked him when he wasn't a werewolf and who he really was. Yeah, it's her as well.
So that's who he is.
Yeah, they're like the trio that Johnny Depp and Matey go undercover and sort of hang around with and stuff, and then just bust them all really and get the guy for the ID. So it was an interesting episode that the US government would go to that depths to stop some fake IDs at a school because they were buying beer and partying with them and they couldn't work out how they were being made. But
this comes from the country that gave you prohibition, so
that's true, and maybe that's where the IDs came from. But it was well acted, and it was quite interesting to see the early development of some of Hollywood's bigger names be only for one movie, like Pauly Shore. Because there was like a week where everyone loved Pauly Shore, and then then the rest of his life happened.
Does he still do the comedy roasts? Is he on those? Have I seen him on one of those, or am I making that up?
He may have. I'm guessing, to be honest. I think he goes to the opening of an envelope these days if he's invited. Because there was it California Man or Insinia Man, wasn't it?
That's
it was
the one. Yeah, whatever you want to call it, depending on
where you live.
Yeah.
And then it was just like There was no scandal or anything, was there? It was just like
Not
one
that
day.
we know of, but
Then
then
one
you don't
day-
know. Back then, those things weren't necessarily reported like they are now, are they? So could have been. We just
Wow.
don't know about it.
What a
Well, it'll
great
probably come out
statement.
by now.
What a great statement. I don't know if he killed anyone, but to be fair, reports of crime in those days weren't what they were.
It was doing it very
You
different.
you didn't have
They
Crime
just put it under the
Stoppers.
carpet, and then, in some cases, literally just rolled the body
There
up.
was like a week he was like A-list Hollywood, and then by the
That's
time
right.
he phoned up and went, "Mama, I've made it," it was over.
Well,
and,
yeah.
he couldn't even get on TV anymore. He couldn't even get on like seasons 5 of 21 Jump Street. He was done by then. Or whatever else was on at the
So
time.
there we go. Whatever happened to Pauly Shore?
Pauly Shore, yeah. So I watched that. That was good. I also I'm still watching Solar Opposites, which you all need to check out. Do it. It's amazing.
Getting round
show.
to there's so many programs and so little time. Getting round to it. You're
But
ticking
it's-
things off my list.
It's genuinely funny, and it's got this whole. I don't want to go into it because I'll ruin it, but there's this whole B story throughout all the episodes as well of this other stuff going on. But I don't want to reveal it because it'll ruin
Can't
it.
give everything away.
Yeah, it'll just So you do need to check that out. It's on Disney Plus in the UK. I think they're halfway through season 2. I think new episodes drop about every Thursday or Friday. In
So,
America, I think it's all out already.
I just love that how you were like saying it's on Disney Plus in the UK, but for all our international listeners, it can be found on.
Hey, we got international listeners.
That's what I'm
Apparently
saying.
they turn
You're
it down when you're
inclusive,
talking, but the rest of us do.
Well, it's a good job because they can't understand you. So
I have watched as well. I'm 5 episodes deep into Jupiter's Legacy that hit Netflix this week. Are we going to talk about it now? Or are we going to go for that maybe on the news bit in a minute?
yeah, well, I watched the whole series.
It's
I've been
entirely up to you.
Okay, maybe should we cover that in the news bit? Go a bit deeper because we'll do that then.
Oh,
We'll do
I'd
that
love to.
then. It's right up your street.
loads of capes.
And also, I
Like capes for us.
revisited a 90s classic this week. This was
Oh.
a film. It was a spin-off from a popular show in the 90s. And it was kind of, a spin-off of this comedic duo. I'm seeing it. It was, welcome to Good Burger, home of the Good Burger. Can I take your order? I watched Good Burger again. The Keenan and Kel comedic classic from the mid-90s.
Yeah, I didn't like Keenan and Kel.
Why?
I just didn't find it funny.
Yeah, I didn't like the TV series, but Good Burger is actually pretty good. Very 90s and what you'd expect, and very one of those, again, just full of people that are just either famous now or used to be famous, and that was like one of their last paychecks. There's an old guy that works in the burger bar. He was in like The Godfather Part 2 and everything, and it's like, and they're looking it up. I think he died shortly after. I've totally forgotten his name now. But
Al Pacino.
no, not that one. He's still alive, as far as I know. At the time of recording.
Unless they're doing a weekend at Bernie's.
Yeah. But it was just like you've done all these films, and now you're the old guy in the corner who just shakes the fries every so often for like a returning gag.
Ka-ching.
Do you know what? I don't think
There's
I've
a
seen
reason
it.
for that.
I never watched Keenan and
I mean,
Kel.
they're
think
not-
I was too old by that.
Oh no, the TV show. I mean, my sister used to watch it. The TV show, nothing really to do. With the
Love
TV
how he's
show.
passing the blame. Sister
Yeah.
used to watch it. If it
No,
was on,
I wasn't that big on Keenan and Kel, but the film, it's them. No, they're not Keenan and Kel in the film.
I'm just going to get your sister on the line just to get to the truth.
A bit like when Cannon and Paul did The Boys in Blue, but to be
Shut
fair,
up, that's a great film.
Yeah, that's a classic. That is.
Good Burger's a lot.
That's
better.
a whole
Boys
episode on
in
its own. That
blue,
is.
Blue, 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 with the boys in blue. I love that film.
With The Boys in Blue, 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 blue. You learnt the words then.
Well, yeah, that's all I can remember. But that was a tune. Yeah,
Yeah.
that they did.
Might try and track
Think-
that down. Actually,
Could
I
be a
watched that.
special.
That was one of the ones I almost watched to death, destroying
Suzanne-
the VHS.
Was it Suzanne Dando? No, Suzanne
anyone who was anyone back in that time period would have been was in it.
Roy Kinnear.
Definitely.
No, that would be. Yeah, maybe that could be if anyone, is it still available anywhere, or is it just
I mean,
on some
it's
VHS?
in that same category of as like Mutiny on the Buses and Steptoe and Son movies, isn't it?
I
That's
hate,
okay.
Mutiny on the Buses.
Oh yeah,
that was-
that's an awful film. But what I
Yeah.
mean is, it's that category of, these guys were really, really popular on TV. I'm sure we can get a film out of it, which they clearly
Yeah.
did.
And I did like a bit of Cannon and Ball back in the day.
Well, yeah, and it's not like they had to spend a hell of a lot of money on it.
No,
They got anyone that wasn't currently doing a BBC or an ITV show that was available to turn up down in, what was the West Country or somewhere?
or Margate. It's not in one or the other.
Yeah.
But they were on. Did you see that show? Again, not really what we cover, but it does link to Cannon and Ball. Did you see that show when they got all the old British entertainers and they took them out to Vegas and they did the show in Vegas?
Right. I didn't watch it religiously, but I saw a couple of episodes.
But Cannon and Ball were brilliant on that, because there was this old British singer whose name escapes me now, who was kind of prima donnaing it about what hotel room he got. And Tommy Cannon was like, "Look, mate, you're in there. Shut up, get on with it, or I'll knock you out." And he was like, "Sorry," and I was like, "I love Cannon and Ball." And it was, so I watched that, and that's mainly been it really, because Jupiter's Legacy was like 5 episodes, and Jump Street was a few episodes, and
See, in my
Jim
head, I
Farrell
still
was-
think you watched Boys in Blue, but you didn't. It's like, yeah.
now I want to though.
Yeah, I'm going to have to try and find that.
Yeah, so a lot of these sort of sequel movies that came out from TV shows were, big hits. Were there any other ones that, when they like just drew it out too much? They never did an Al Garnett movie, did they?
No, I don't think so.
Morecambe and Wise are the fair few.
Yeah, and then you had that you had Phil Silver's crossover
That's
into
literally
Carry On.
just gonna say that. Yeah, Carry On,
What was
Follow
it?
That
Carry On
Camel.
Camel, that's the one. Yeah, Carry On,
Yeah.
Follow That. It was the French Legion one, wasn't it?
Yeah, I'm just trying to think of any other. No, I'm sure there has been some. But Richard O'Sullivan never ended up in any movies from half the programs he was in between the 70s and the 80s. Mind you, he was probably too busy making TV shows because he was in everything. For that
Yeah, he
years.
was. Yeah,
Me and my girl.
we could literally do a whole if we wanted to. We could do a whole episode on.
We could do a whole.
his sitcoms.
Oh, was it Tim Brooke Taylor in that as well?
Yeah,
He was in Me and My Girl. Yeah, definitely.
we could do a whole year on Richard O'Sullivan.
Yeah, let's not.
Yeah. Okay. Shall we? Is that your television
That is
entertainment for this week?
From what I remember off the top of my head, I'm sure something will pop up later on. I go, oh my god, I'll watch that as well. But at the moment,
Cool.
that's it.
Okay. So we'll, as you say, then we'll cover Jupiter's arse gravy in a minute. So Paul, what have you been feasting your eyes on this week?
Okay, so we went through the whole of the second season of The Missing. I'm not going to give anything away, but it was okay, not as good as the first one. It just jumps around.
Did
Three
they find
different-
anything?
Yeah. They
Spoilers.
They
They've ruined it
potentially
now.
they potentially find who did it.
What's just as a what?
Yeah,
give
could
me
you
one sentence
expand
on
on what
what is the
Missing is?
missing?
Okay, so The Missing. Well, the first series was there's a couple out.
Is this UK or
Yeah, I think it's BBC iPlayer.
Okay.
So series 1 was there's a couple out in France. The
Oh,
dad's,
wait there. Is it Scottish matey again?
yeah,
Is it- yeah,
season 1 was Irish matey.
Irish matey. I've forgotten his name. What's his name?
Well, now that you've said
The
Scottish,
one from
I'm
Cold
confused.
Feet. The one from Cold
Yeah,
Feet.
him.
Oh yeah, him. The guy
Yeah,
we were talking
it's in
about a lot the other
Bloodland.
week.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I have seen that. Yeah.
Yeah.
When I talked
His
about The
name.
Missing series 1.
His name is. He's got a name. He definitely has a name.
He's just
No,
had his
Alan.
hair. He's just had his hair done.
Yeah,
He was in that Lucky Man as well.
he
Yeah,
wasn't. Yeah,
Stan Lee's
Lucky
Lucky
Man.
Man. Is,
Yeah.
No,
Starring-
I'm impressed you did that.
James
Nesbitt.
McAvoy, Nesbitt.
Nesbitt.
Back of the net.
McAvoy.
James McAvoy.
I think
Get
there's a
out
good
of
20 years
town.
difference between those two at least.
Yeah, so not
he
that we
was
watched
Scottish.
season 2 this week, but season 1 was about James Nesbitt and his wife going to France. Him and his boy go swimming. His boy's only 4 or 5. He goes to the bar to get his boy a drink. They're all watching the World Cup.
Yeah.
Yeah. He turns around, his boy's gone. The rest of the series is trying to track down his son years later, still trying to hunt him down. Does he find him? Who knows? So season 2 is a bit different in regards to the fact that it's a teenager that goes missing, who turns up 10 years later. Why did she disappear? What's happened to her? Who's kidnapped her? So Baptiste comes back. He's been diagnosed with a brain tumor, so he's also suffering with like delusions and this kind of stuff. People are saying, "What are you doing here anyway?" It's in Germany. You're a French detective who is also retired. You know, the case that you were looking at years ago is done and dusted. You know. Anyway, so he's battling all that. He's battling a brain tumor. He goes off to the Middle East also to track down someone that might be able to help them. And does he find the answers? Well, it's Baptiste, so of course he does. But what are the answers? I'm not going to give it away. It's okay. I really like Baptiste. I felt that this season, again, really suffered from jumping around too much, the different timelines. There's about 3 different times that the series traverses, and it all felt a bit messy. But yeah, Baptiste is really good. He's also got his own season on BBC iPlayer, which I'll probably watch because I just like him as an actor. He's a really good character. You know, he's a old French detective that doesn't give a monkeys. And just wants to get the job done. But anyway, yeah, he's really good.
But it's a good sequel series. It's worth
No, it's not as good as the first one. But I'm going to watch Baptiste, his own sequel.
The sequel.
Yeah, the
trequel. I agree with you with the timeline jumping around though, because.
Did you watch it?
No, well, I've seen bits of that one now that I remember. But I mean,
right.
Just in general,
in
like,
general, I think
True Detective was like that as well. Everyone loved True Detective when it came out. The Woody Harrelson and Matthew McConaughey one, because you know the 2 ultimate rednecks in a show together. That was that was an attraction to watch it to start with. But then it jumps around all the time. And when actually you find out what happened and you put it in chronological order, it was a bit of a shit story, really. All the appeal was in like you don't quite know what happened because it hasn't been revealed yet. And then when you find out, it's like, oh, they've done that happened, and then that happened. You're like, that's not actually that much of a.
Is that a bit like Memento? Not that I've ever seen it, but that's another one that jumps around and everyone said it's brilliant because it's like,
Memento is good. The whole thing with Memento is he's got like a 20-minute memory. Something's happened to him.
So like every Damian with names and actors.
Yeah. It's a lot like me.
About every 20 minutes, he forgets, and he's trying to find who killed his wife. About every 20 minutes, his short-term memory goes again.
Yeah.
And
I think it's a really good film, but I watched it with a really bad hangover. And I can't watch it.
That's not going to help.
Yeah, it didn't help with the film, and it doesn't help that I can't revisit it because it just sends me back to that feeling of that hangover.
And if you wake up at the wrong time, it's like everyone who was in the Matrix but playing someone different.
Yeah.
So it's just like, so if you like just switch someone from sleep and you put that on, and then they'll think they're still watching the same film, and you could really mess someone's head up. But no, it was Memento was good.
Cool.
That's a decent big tangent. Anything else, Paul?
Yeah. So binge watched the whole of Jupiter's Legacy over probably with 2 or 3 nights. We'll talk about that later. I then also at the weekend because it was on, we wanted a blockbuster, I say in a loose term, decided to watch Tom Clancy's Without Remorse with Michael B. Jordan and Jamie Bell. It's
verdict
5 out of 10. I mean, some good action sequences.
I always have to say, there's always something about when it's got Tom Clancy in front of me that makes me skip the film.
But to be fair, this is nothing like, you know.
And
Tom
you love
Clancy.
those films.
No, but this is nothing like Tom Clancy's older stuff. You know, it's not Hunt for Red October. It's not Patriot Games or anything like that, which had a huge, great storylines. The actors in it, yes, they were involved in action sequences, but like they're not action heroes. You know, beefy muscle men. You know, Harrison Ford did some really good action sequences, or a stuntman did. But it's more about the actual storyline.
It's a story, isn't it?
Thriller. Yeah. This one's completely different. So Michael B. Jordan's really happy to get his t-shirt off at any opportunity he can to flex his muscles. And
he's still on that Black Panther workout, and it's working for him.
And to be fair to him, you know, if I had a body like that, I'd be getting my shirt off every opportunity. You've got Jamie Bell that's there doing is he a bad Secret Service guy? Is he a good Secret Service guy? Who cares? You know, it's not important. And he just looks like a bit of a dwarf or a short person next to Michael B. Jordan, a paley English short guy. because that's he stood next to Michael B. Jordan. It's not great. It's not. I mean, there's some good action sequences, but yeah, avoid it.
Does it link into any of the other Clancy stuff? I
No,
know some of them link together, don't they? Is it Jack Ryan? Is that him?
But recently, Tom Clancy's been doing like a whole different series upon series of different action thrillers. I'm not sure where this plays into the timeline. I don't care because I used to read a lot of his novels years and years ago, and they're fantastic. Proper war novels.
Are we saying he's found copy and paste these days?
No, he's. I mean, the books might have been really good, but he's obviously sold them for the money. If this is based on a book, or whether it's just like a storyline from his genre or universe, as it were, that he's just given the rights to. But it says Tom Clancy's Without Remorse. I'm not sure whether he's just put his name to it because, again, it's a bit of a Navy SEAL type operative thing. But as I said, if you're stuck, don't watch it. Go off and read a book or go for a walk. There's a lot better things to do than watch Without Remorse. But that's just my humble opinion. I'm sure lots of other people, maybe people that are interested in looking at a really good guy getting his top off, shooting some guns and killing some bad guys would enjoy the film. So that was an hour and 40 minutes, hour 50 minutes, maybe 2 hours. I think they actually kind of dragged it out for no good reason. As I said, there wasn't much of a storyline. His wife gets killed, and he goes on a big revenge to try and track down the killer. Do
you think some of it might be the fact that I'm pretty sure like Tom Clancy now is just like coming up with titles, and then they're going, right, here's £100 million, right? We'll have the rights to that, and he's like, I didn't read anything yet.
As long as we put your name to it, it's a bit like the last season of Game of Thrones, isn't it? Let's face it.
Oh, let's not go down there again, please.
he's still can't. He wouldn't let it lie.
Well, I'm still bitter. I am still bitter about that one. Okay, so moving swiftly on. So I had to, by popular demand, give Invincible a watch.
Oh, it's the deciding vote. Brett loves it. Damien hated it.
Oh, okay. So I've got to say,
time to pull down. Have you watched all of it?
No.
Okay, where are you at? We need to know where you're at, so we don't try and give anything away.
Well, I'm 5 episodes in.
Okay.
And if I'm honest, I don't have a bug to go back. So I completely.
I'm chalking that down as a win for me.
It's gory.
Let's see what he says first.
No, so it's gory. The first episode's quite cool, building up some of the characters, but then it just kind of took a real dive. I completely get that it's gore, and it tries to show one side of it, but then it almost felt like falling back into a kid type script, or it just seemed really immature.
He is a kid.
No, I meant the script. It didn't. I mean, we're going to talk about Jupiter's Legacy later on, but it really suffered for me. It didn't really draw my attention or hold my attention. And after you get through the fact that you're seeing that amount of gore on Netflix or whatever it is, Amazon. Yeah. Then I just get past it. It's a bit near.
So I think you're probably episode 2 to probably where you are is more.
Am I in the lull
drama than it is superhero? Yeah. There's no sort of villain of the week or anything like that. You get that alien invasion, I think, in the second episode.
Second or third one, yeah.
Second or third, where they come
and then it's just the teen superheroes getting it together with all the teenage angst that goes with it.
No, try and get to the end, because it is one. That's the thing. It's one story.
I got to the end, Paul. So if I can get to the end, then I would say you.
But then you get the whole story arc. At the moment, you stopped halfway through the book.
So I will get to the end of it. But as I said, I'm in that lull period of the season.
No, I totally know what you mean. There were a few in the middle where it's like they're going to go on a school trip or something. Now I can't remember what it was now. And you're just like,
You've only got 3 left anyway, haven't you? Is it 8 episodes?
8 or 9, I think. Yeah, 9, I think.
Okay, cool. Well, I will continue to watch that. But as I said, jury's out at the moment. I'm if I'm honest, I'm siding more towards Damian. But we will see. And speaking of siding towards Damian, not in a Michael B.
Not
Jordan way, waiting for him to take his top off, but I then took your advice and started watching Sweet Home.
Cool.
And I really liked it.
It is good, isn't it?
The trailer or the opening trailer on it's on Netflix, isn't it?
Netflix, yeah.
Actually doesn't do it justice. So the trailer's the girl waiting for the lift, and you get the scary looking woman with a pram coming up, and having nothing in the plan, and you know that something a bit psycho is going on. But the actual first episode, and I've only done episode 1 at the moment. Oh, have I? Have I gone on to episode 2 already? But no, the actual episode is really good, and it's taking this kind of post-apocalyptic world in true Korean form, and pimping it up a bit. So again, it's very strange. It's very weird. The monsters are really good. It's not the atypical vampire outside the buildings all trying to get in. These are more of a Carpenter type.
Yes, yeah. That's a good comparison. Actually, I hadn't thought of that.
Yeah. So from what I've seen, I'm really enjoying it. And as I said, it's just
don't
a bit of a different
expect
twist.
that first episode, each episode, because like I said before, it's very character driven. So there might even be episodes where no monsters actually pop up at all, when it's all about the characters dealing with it. But yeah, thoroughly enjoyable.
It's on my list still. Oh, actually, no, I watched it and it was shit. No, I haven't really.
Yeah, so that's been the majority of my TV week that I'm willing to discuss on the podcast.
Clear that browser history.
No, I just meant the usual Teen Titans and all of that kind of stuff that I'm objective to. What about you, Damien, rather?
So, in my week, I've watched very little on TV. I think it was Wednesday last week, Satan himself dragged his sorry ass out of hell to make a house call. And he bestowed upon us a sickness bug that can only be described as a chunky tidal wave. So it was only about, I think, late Saturday afternoon, I even decided that I was actually still alive.
I thought you looked thinner.
Yeah.
I was going to say, if I'd have known that, I'd have been round to see you.
Yeah, absolutely horrendous. So I did watch a couple of episodes of Midnight Cooler on Forces TV. Although weirdly, I know I watched 2, but I actually can only remember watching one of them, which was one about gun laws in the US at the time of recording, which I don't think have changed at all.
And just out of curiosity, were the gun laws good or bad?
Well, that's
depends
the
on
funny thing.
who it was directed and produced by at the time.
Yeah,
Jack Killian, was he ahead of the curve, or was he like, guns are great?
He kind of pretty much throughout the episode, a lot of the talk was about, long story short, a convenience store owner shoots someone dead when he comes into his store with a crowbar or tire iron, as our friends in the US like to call them, and but he wasn't actually planning to rob. He needed his tire changed, but this guy had been robbed like 4 nights in a row over the course of the last couple of months. So there was the whole debate about whether it was murder or manslaughter or whatever, and then if he hadn't had the gun, you wouldn't have shot him, except obviously you wouldn't have shot him, but you know what I mean. But then all the people in the studio themselves were saying, yeah, I own a gun, I don't own a gun. What do you mean you own a gun? Jack Killian, quiet as a mouse throughout all of that conversation, and just lets the conversation flow on the radio, etc., etc. And then it ends with him driving down to San Francisco Bay, taking his gun out of its holster and chucking it into the river. So all along he did own a gun, but kept quiet.
He was a copper or a police officer, as you say in America.
Yeah. And he turns into a fly tipper.
Yeah.
Yeah. But no, I saw one. I did watch one actually. When it was one where there was like some woman got murdered like 30 years ago, and then the guy phoned up to confess it on the radio, and then the police officer investigated it, who's long since retired. Like, I need to see Jack Killian now. And he, like, old bloke turned out. And you'll recognise him straight away. He's, like, normally a cranky old guy in most things from, like, the sort of...
I thought you were going to say it was Quincy or something.
No, it wasn't Quincy, but he's probably been in Quincy. I remember him being in an episode of the A-Team. He's one that I've forgotten his name now. He may have been in Dallas or something as well, but he was like the gumshoe detective.
One of the stalwarts of
yeah. Why don't you do the voice again? Because I'm sure that would really strike in our memories who it is.
Everyone will know exactly who you're talking about.
If I showed you the picture of him, you go, "That is him."
No, I don't need the picture with your impression of him. Surely.
If you closed your eyes and just envisioned it, it would be there.
I'm
so
not
we
going to
can
close my
reverse
eyes.
Brett out of this cul-de-sac. I think about some silly o'clock Saturday morning, I came across a film on Amazon called Out of Time, which was only made, I think, last year or the year before. I mean, it is dire. It's absolutely awful. I think there's probably hundreds of films called Out of Time. If you're,
I was going to say, who's in it?
But no one famous is in it. It actually looked more like a pilot for a TV show than an actual, well, it definitely wasn't a blockbuster film either way. The premise is, I think it's like 1947 or something. These aliens escape from the compound or wherever it is that they're being held in through a time portal, and then a G-man goes in after them, and they end up in 2021, and it's then just this guy, and he teams up with a local detective to track them down, and it literally ends with him getting back through the portal, her going with him, finding out what's all going on, then coming back, and he's there to meet her at the other end, still the same age as he was back in 1947. And it's like, what are you doing for the rest of your life? I know a company that could really use your services. So it's definitely keyed up for a TV series, which probably will never get made. It's shockingly bad, but also very entertaining all at the same time. So,
but you were actually ill for the best part of the week.
Yeah, I was. I mean,
so that may have affected your judgment.
It might have affected my judgment. I was sat there eating plain chicken and rice, watching this film at about 3 o'clock in the morning. But so it could have been the chicken and rice talking. And I've also gone.
I was just looking out because I was intrigued. Did it have Adam Ant in it?
I don't think so. I would have remembered that. This is literally, it's only like a year or 2 years old.
Oh, okay, no, that was in 1988 Out of Time.
No, this is what I mean. There's loads of films,
That looks that looks as awful as the one.
Adam Ant could even be the same plot.
That was 88 though. It was Adam Ant was the most famous name in it, so that was.
Well, he's more famous than anyone that was actually in this film.
Cool.
And I've watched 3 episodes of Jupiter's Arse Gravy. So I mean, if we want to start talking about that now, then
do you want fries with
let's
that?
do that before we go on to the drop
and
zone.
Just as a chat, I just looked it up. It was George Murdoch. He was the gumshoe, hard-boiled detective. It was in The Midnight Caller. And if you Google him, you'll recognise him.
There's a name to put in the show notes.
One for you, Paul. Star Trek 5. He was the guy that said he was God.
Okay. Yeah.
And then it's like, and Kirk goes, "Well, why would God need a spaceship?"
Because I do.
See, that's the voice. I just did it earlier. I can see his face clearly now. See.
Yeah.
But right, Paul, do you want to lead the charge on Jupiter's Legacy then? Because you've seen the whole story, but without telling us, revealing the ending too much. So we'll go for about the first 5.
Well, I'm not going to go episode by episode.
Oh, just in general up to.
Actually, I've only seen the first 3. So
I was going to say.
Sorry, first 3. My apologies.
And at the end, they all die. No, so Jupiter's Legacy. So what do you want? Do you want the general spiel? I mean, we've already covered.
I don't necessarily think that anyone that listens to this wouldn't know what Jupiter's Legacy
is. I was going to say
it's been bandied about so much over the last couple of months.
So if I'm an
opinion piece.
So before I started watching, I did do a Dr. Google search on some critic reviews, and some of them actually really panned it, and I don't know why. No, No, but their rationale was, it jumps around in time, and we're not quite sure why. He's trying to be so good and have all his morals and blah blah blah. It's like, but because that's where that's part of who he is. So he's trying to head up the gang of superheroes, trying to set themselves above mere mortals.
But he is a bit earnest, isn't he? I mean,
it's just living by the code. That's what he's trying to do, Damien. So they've got a code where they don't interfere with politics and all this kind of stuff.
I get that. That makes perfect sense.
Good guys don't kill.
But I mean,
good guys don't kill people.
Son literally saved his life.
Yeah, so that's what. Within the first episode, there's a big battle. His son breaks the code by killing the bad guy, or does he? To be revealed, and he slates him for that. So it's the typical, my father doesn't understand me, I'm trying to live up to all expectations but failing, blah blah blah. But I managed to get past that. He's got a sister that's off the rails, doing drugs and living it up, even though she should come back into the fold and become one of the superhero clan, as it were.
She was pretty cool.
Yeah, but I really enjoyed it. It's got the guts, it's got the gore, it's got what I thought was actually quite a good storyline. So it also delves back into how they got their superpowers, and it spreads over throughout the first series. From him working with his dad, their company going under, all of his rich friends, and how
I did like that. I liked all the Wall Street crash stuff. That was pretty good.
Yeah.
This is what I was going to say. The actual flashbacks. So that critic there that said about the time jump, that's, for me, is the only thing that's keeping me watching it, because the origin bit about how they get their powers, which I've not got to yet, is the only thing that makes me want to carry on.
It also doesn't. It also doesn't rush it. So
yeah,
I mean, it does.
It does make me watch the entire season.
Yeah, but it does it in a really good way. I think it gives you enough to keep you going. Comes back into the modern era, which is all the action type sequences where they have their powers. But I think it was maybe clever is the wrong word for it, because it's nothing radically new or different. But it kept my attention. And I constantly wanted to go back and see what happened due to the fact that I watched the whole box set in 2-3 nights. And yeah, again, we were discussing this over the last couple of weeks with those reality type superhero ones where there's humans involved or there's blood and guts involved. It's not just, I'm going to shoot you with my laser eyes and you're going to go down on the floor. No, you see the gore. You see what happens. The amount of times I smash someone in the face and pulverize their skull, and this is real life. That's what happens.
I don't remember you going around doing that.
Well, yeah, but because that was
one of his fever dreams again.
I was wearing my costume at the time.
The tablets have kicked in.
But again, it had that The Boys type feel to it. Yes, it did. I mean, some of the costumes, Damien, I imagine you looking at them going, "What the hell?" Because they are,
I'm forgiving that a little bit, because which is what I was going to say, because they clearly get their powers in the 20s, because that's when the crash was, wasn't it? They probably put a little time card at the bottom, but I didn't spot it. But like the Wall Street crash and all that was about 28, 29, wasn't it? The Depression. So I'm guessing the costumes that those guys are wearing are of that kind of era, aren't they?
Yeah.
I've only seen them.
Yeah, no, that's what I was wearing in the 20s.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what you're wearing in your 20s. That's different.
I mean, I think one of the critics.
Trench coat.
I think one of the critics also slated the makeup when they're old. But to be fair, I thought it was all right. I didn't.
I mean, to me, this whole thing was Francis Ford Coppola does superheroes. I got that kind of.
I wouldn't go that far.
No, we know, like how like The Godfather was sort of set out. I'm not saying it's as good as that, don't get me wrong, but you know, that sort of story arc of, it's like the long thing, you're seeing the generations of the family. I mean, I imagine it goes on, we may even see future shots, future flash forwards of maybe different people's kids, because, or what, you know, they, you know, it, as the series goes on. Because I've got a couple of comics, but I never really read it, to be honest, because it was one of them. You know, I had a couple, but I needed all of them to read it, so I didn't bother.
I'm struggling to get past the Francis Ford Coppola. Quite
no, I'm thinking. No, but you know, like how the Godfather, like the structure of it. You know, like
it's like the Charles Dickens of superhero films.
It's not.
Yeah, I kind of guess what. Yeah, I get what you're saying. Is it's not the stereotypical, as we talked about when Superman and Lois came out or whatever it was. It's like, you know, there's going to be there's going to be some teen angst where they have their kids.
Anyone sitting down to watch this, you're in it for the long game. This isn't the Flash or Arrow or superhero versus villain of the week. It's a long form, sort of almost Godfather like over generations.
It's none of that makes me call it Jupiter's arse gravy. It's what you said earlier, Paul. It's the scripting and the family meal set piece where she comes, you know, flies in for the family. It's such a cliche that there was just no doubt in anyone's mind that was just going to be an argument and she's going to storm off with a bottle of wine. The stuff that's happening from what I've seen in the first couple of episodes in the present time is just nothing we haven't seen before.
But at least she follows it through, if you see what I mean. So it's not her just going off with a bottle of wine and then just, you know, moping around in her bedroom for a bit. She goes full on drug binge, rampage. Yeah. So it does take it a little bit to that next level.
Well, I'm not saying that's anything wrong. I guess it's the script. Maybe it's just that you know. And then when he goes and brings her bagels, a couple of mornings later or whatever it is after trying to get her to go to the funeral, that the dialogue is just not there for me.
He's from the 20s. You have to forgive him. That's what they used to talk like.
He hasn't time jumped from the 20s. He's still lived for another.
And he still listens to that good old music. You know, he's set in his ways.
He lives in his ways. Yeah.
He lives by the code. Bagels.
Never mean no harm.
Bagels which will keep in the freezer until after the photo shoot.
And he doesn't kill anyone. He's a true American hero, global hero rather. He's not just American. Go on then, Summers. Hit us with your take.
No, I'm there. I think I've already worked it out, but I'm going to wait till the end, and I'll watch it through. I'll probably be next weekend when I get the time just to burn through.
It's obvious who betrays them, if that's what you mean.
No, I think there's another one yet.
Okay. Let's say I've only seen 3, but I know they've only mentioned that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But when we're not recording, Brett can tell us without worrying about to spoil it.
Yeah, but I don't want to ruin it if Damien's going to watch the rest either.
Oh yeah,
yeah. But I've got no idea. But no, but it's I'm enjoying it. It's worth a watch. It is a long haul. I'm impressed you binged it, because I was like, I'm liking this, but I need a rest from it now and to watch something else that I can just sort of not pay attention to but watch, which is kind of how I ended up back on Jump Street, really. I just needed something, that you can put it on, make a cup of tea, and you haven't missed some important detail that may be relevant in 6 episodes' time. It's just, it's that sort of thing. I think it's good. Has it got a season 2 already? Did we mention that? I can't remember.
I don't know if it's been announced or yet. I'll have a look in a minute.
Yeah, but
I'd be surprised if it didn't.
But so far so good. But you say it could do with a bit more. When it livens up, it does it in a good way. But then maybe that's part of they're trying to show the differences between each generation of heroes. So, but when they're filming some, is it all a bit slow and dialogue heavy on purpose? And then with the other lot,
I did like the fact that the screen changes. When they go back into the 20s, it goes from widescreen to whatever you want to call it.
Yeah,
that was a nice little touch.
But yeah, no, it's. Am I blown away by it? No, but I am enjoying it. It's not like, oh my god, I need to see the next episode now. It's not, nothing since Lost has grabbed me like that yet. Of like, we need to see the next episode now.
See, I had that with Fringe. Fringe was the one for me. There's a dip because it went on for 6 seasons or 5 seasons or something. So there's always a dip in a series like that. But Fringe did get me like that. I'd always want to watch the next one. So,
but I think the other thing about it is I knew there's only 8 or 9 episodes, so I was, you're not worried. Oh, there's 20. Do I try and invest all this time? It's like 8 episodes. I can do that.
They're not an hour long either, are they? They're like 35, 45 minutes.
45 minutes. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. So that's that one.
That's our views so far on
Jupiter's Legacy.
I reckon it's time for us to move on to the drop zone.
Drop zone.
Drop zone.
Okie dokie. That ridiculous jingle signals it's time for the drop zone. Brett, I believe we've got Green Knight first up. Do you want to give us the blurb?
First up in the drop zone today, we've got The Green Knight. It stars Dev Patel, Alicia Vikander, and Joel Egerton, and it's directed by David Lowery, and it promises to put a spin on the classic tale of the Knights of the Round Table. So here we go. An epic fantasy adventure based on the timeless Arthurian legend. The Green Knight tells the story of Sir Gawain, King Arthur's reckless and headstrong nephew, who embarks on a daring quest even, to confront the eponymous Green Knight, a gigantic emerald-skinned stranger and tester of men. Gawain contends with ghosts, giants, thieves, and schemers, and what becomes a deeper journey to define his character and prove his worth in the eyes of his family and his kingdom by facing the ultimate challenger. It will hit cinemas July the 30th. I came away from this trailer more interested than I thought I would be. It's got some nice bit of folk, but it kind of had a little bit of that sort of Robin of Sherwood sprinkling for me, where it's kind of tapping in on maybe some of the folk legends that are known, rather than just the good old Knights of the Round Table, jolly King Arthur stuff that, we sometimes get used to. What did anyone else think?
Well, I don't know what you want to call it. The tree thing is a classic.
I think that's the I think that's the Green Knight. The Green Knight, that is.
That's the Green Knight, is it? Well, yeah. Okay. Well, that's definitely a classic image of old English folk tales.
Yeah, so it's based on Sir Gawain and the Green Knight.
There you go.
Oh, what? Have you got any more on that, Paul? So, is this something you know a bit about? That'd be cool.
Well, not a lot. No, it's just like you said. It was based on.
No, I just wondered if you had I wasn't sure if you knew a lot about. No, I wasn't trying to catch you.
Sounded like you knew a lot about it. Well, it's based on
I
this.
Thought you might. I thought you might know the
you two are a pair of numbers.
But it's the Green Knight. Welsh is Marcoch Gwyd, Cornish is Mega Gwyd, Breton is Melech Gwyd, and it's a character from the 14th century Arthurian poem Sir Gawain and the Green Knight, and the medieval work of the Green Knight. Yeah. It's like group version 1.1, isn't it? That's what it looks like, a big tree.
Big tree.
That's what he looks like, doesn't he?
He does.
But yeah. I think I'll put this on the maybe pile. I am intrigued, but maybe I'll see what everyone else thinks a little bit first.
Yeah, so I kind of wanted to like it. I mean, I do like the old Arthurian films from when I was a kid.
Hang on. Wait, back. You managed pretty well with all those weird pronunciations of Old English, Welsh, and Celtic, Scottish and stuff.
I'm sure
and
any Welsh
listeners
will disagree.
Oh, I can't do it now.
Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, the trailer had a couple of big action scenes. One at the start. So the Green Knight turns up. Looks like Gawain vanquishes him, chops his head off. But then he basically he's still alive and says, "I'm going to come back in a year," or "You've got a year to come back and kill me," or whatever it looks like. And And then a lot of the trailer just looked like him walking in the wilderness. So
you love that kind of
But
stuff.
you like
That's what they do in Lord of the
I
Rings.
was gonna say,
First
yeah,
film was
yeah.
basically them walking about.
You love walking things.
Yeah, maybe. But this just looks like it's him walking along, and every now and again some big giants turned up. Again, part of myth or legend or whatever. But I don't know. I'm not sure if the trailer really sold it for me. Again, the trailer's supposed to show the best bits, not just some deep, meaningful walking in medieval England.
I know what you mean. I think it depends on where it's pitched. Is it kind of pitched at the young adult audience, and it's actually more going to be about a soppy love story, or is it going to be lots of action and stuff?
Yeah, and it didn't look like lots of action apart from the two big. Well, I was going to say battle sequences. There's no battle sequences. There's just a couple of fights between him and the Green Knight that I could see, and some talking fox. Anyone else?
Yeah, that threw me a bit. I have to be honest.
I don't think there are enough talking foxes in films these days.
Well, you got the one in Peter Rabbit.
I think there's been a big gap. I think there's been a big gap since The Fox and the Hound, really.
Well, I mean,
it's
we
a
had
market
his
that
Dark
people need to
Materials.
exploit more.
I know there wasn't a fox in his Dark Materials, but there's a lot of other talking.
Right, as I said,
demons.
You got the fox in Peter Rabbit and Peter Rabbit 2. There looked like some good arty sequences in it. As I said, the bits strolling along with these huge giants in the background.
The giants that caught my eye.
Yeah, but
like a bit of giant action.
Yeah, but there was no big battles. So it's not Lord of the Rings. You don't have nothing to get hopeful about.
They might not have shown the battle yet. That's going to be the end, isn't it?
Why wouldn't they have shown a big battle?
It gives it away. You don't want to give everything away in the trailer. That'd be silly.
Yeah, but if there's a big battle sequence, you'd show it, a snippet of it, just to show how the story is culminating in a big epic battle with good v evil. I mean, the Green Knight, I think, was almost the same as the devil in medieval times. So, that would have been nice. A big battle with him and the horde of demons that fights with him. But no, it's dead fighting at the start. Walking with giants. There you go, with David Attenborough narrating. That's what this film's missing. I don't know.
Attenborough.
I'm not excited about it. Will I watch it? Yeah, probably.
Well, there we go then. Before this turns into a battle royale, shall we move on to what else we've got in the drop zone? Next up, we've got a new trailer for Venom that's been released.
Venom, Let There Be Carnage.
That's the badger.
And basically, it's the follow-up to the Tom Hardy Venom film.
The sequel.
The sequel.
Sequel, is it? Okay.
Yeah, the sequel. It is a sequel, and and it's you've got Woody from Cheers. What's his name?
Woody Harrelson.
Woody Harrelson.
Woody Harrelson, who played Woody in Cheers. That's exactly, I don't know that. Him and his stage names. Yeah, Woody Harrelson is now playing, obviously, Carnage in this one. You get a hint of that at the end of the last film anyway. And it just looks like, to me, this is what you guys, or Damian in particular, talks about all the time with these types of films. This is a Sony thing where they've sort of failed. This is the Sony end of the Marvel Universe with the properties they still own. And this is Sony kind of wanting to get the characters out there, but not really caring about the characters as long as it looks good on screen. And, it's almost like, is it a comedy now? Is it, Venom was a bit of a scary dude at some time. He did have a sense of humour, but it seems to be almost like he's got the symbiont on him now, Tom Hardy, and it almost seems like a comedy sort of thing. And then you've got Carnage kind of being the evil thing. It just looks more
were some funny bits in the first one.
Yeah, but you're right. There was a balance to it.
This trailer is very different, and it's setting up. I mean, even the almost Morecambe Wise breakfast scene where Venom's making Tom Hardy breakfast you know.
Yeah, definitely.
It does look like it's gone a bit too far.
And the lady in the shot, I want to eat her. It's like, no,
Yeah.
you can't eat her. Oh.
Yeah.
Even Tom Hardy looked embarrassed saying that in the clip. You know, it was a sort of. But again, this is what happens when like Sony get hold of things where they like the visuals and the idea of it, but then they like, oh yeah, we need a story as well. So we're going to get all these cool special effects. And Carnage looks great. But Carnage was almost, in the comics, was like a sequel of Venom, who was a sequel of Spider-Man, and it's kind of, so he's like the third generation video cassette of it, which is a bit more washed out and wiped down than the previous. And I think that's why I was never a fan of him in the comic. It was just, oh, what can we do with this idea again? This symbiont idea. And it's, the Sony obviously have paid even less attention to it and just put Woody Harrelson in a ginger wig, although it does look better now than it did at the end of the first Venom film, because that literally looked like they walked into a costume shop, bought a wig and just put it on his head. And they
basically they basically taken Woody Harrelson's character from 2012, who's a bit weird anyway in the maniacal voice, and just plonked him straight in this. So yeah, unfortunately, they haven't really tested Woody Harrelson's acting skills. And Tom Hardy,
Woody Harrelson's going to be Woody Harrelson. I'm a big fan of Tom Hardy. I think he's a very good actor, but I feel the script's going to be the problem here for him, and it's going to let him down.
And you kind of feel sorry for him as well, because in that kind of film role, because he's had many cameos, or cameos probably a bit unfair, but the lesser characters in some big films, and this is him taking center stage, and he's let down by the script or the storyline, and he's a real shame.
But again, though, it's Sony's. This is Sony still holding on to this is the few bits they've got, because now that Marvel have
what film studio is making this? Is it Sony?
It is Sony, and but it's one of the few that they can do it because they own the rights to Spider-Man, and anything that comes from Spider-Man they can make a film out of. Marvel have got the rights to everything else back now, but that's why Tom Hardy Venom film can come out, and where it's supposed to take place in the same universe as sort of Spider-Man and the MCU, it kind of doesn't. And it's kind of its own thing as well, which is, I think, what lets it down a bit. Whereas if Sony just sort of teamed up a bit and let the others dip in and out, I think you might have a better movie. Because that's why, Spider-Man doesn't turn up in the Venom movie, because Marvel said no, we don't want him in that. We don't want him associate with it, and that's what lets it down. Because you're almost like before it starts, it's almost like the bastard son of the MCU to start with. So people are like, well, it kind of is, but it isn't, so we won't bother.
Yeah, I kind of.
Really. I mean,
I kind of get your take. It's like they've got the rights. What else can we do without doing Spider-Man? Because that's done and dusted now. It's almost like you're kind of expecting it coming soon to a cinema near you. Aunt May goes, just because they can.
Yeah. That's it. And it's like, I mean, it's got some good people in it. I mean, it's got Stephen Graham's a detective in it. Detective Mulligan, top British actor. Michelle Williams is in it. Again, you've got Mrs. Chen again, who from the first film from The Shop, and I'm sure there'll be other people that pop up and stuff. And, Woody Harrelson playing a crazy psychotic serial killer. Who'd have thought he could stretch to something like that? But he's doing it, and it looks good. As Cletus Cassidy, who becomes Carnage, and Naomi Harris as well's in it. There's some people in here that could make it a good film. But
I've got to
be in Sony.
I've got to put my hands up and say, if this is on telly on a Saturday night, I will be watching it.
Yeah, it's the same here. I'll watch it, but it just needs that little bit more to. Is the ginger stepchild of the Marvel Universe. It just needs that little bit more attention.
Would I pay £17.50 to go and see it at cinema now?
And and that's it. But I would watch it if it was on. I think I might have even bought Venom in the end, just to watch it and give it a bit of support, because I do think Tom Hardy's a good actor, but until Sony bridge that gap between them and Marvel and sort their shop out, it's still going to be a sloppy shop on Sony's side, I think.
There was a lot of S's there, and you managed to say it well.
Well, I like to chuck out a bit of alliteration now and then for our audience, for the more highbrow listeners.
Like it.
Damien, this tickle your fancy? There's no capes.
I didn't even know that this was a sequel, to be perfectly honest with you, so that's come as a surprise to me. I know nothing of Venom other than it has something to do with Spider-Man. I knew that much. So
still hoping Web of Spider-Man first issue actually becomes worth something in future, but I don't think it is.
Yeah, so I'm not that bothered about this at all. I in fact, I'd actually put in my notes, I might watch it if it arrives on Disney Plus and I have nothing else to do with my time. I've completed the bar and I've read the internet, and hell is a bit nippy, but I'm guessing by what you've just said about Sony numerous times that it's not even going to be on Disney Plus because it's not part of that genre of films.
I think when they do, it goes. I think that's when it goes under the Marvel Legacy or whatever it is.
Could it be on Sky and Virgin and all that kind of good stuff? The first one was.
Oh well, there we go. So no, I mean the short answer to that, Paul, is no. It doesn't do anything for me whatsoever, which is a shame because I don't dislike Tom Hardy, and as you said, Stephen Graham. He's a top-notch stalwart of British films, but
yeah,
nah.
And Tom Hardy's supposed to be a nice bloke in real life as well.
Is he really?
Yeah, crime fighter in real life.
Oh yeah, I remember something about he got someone's moped back or something, didn't he?
Yeah. He's one of those guys you'd go out for a beer with. Like that's that's the way I kind of judge characters.
He's in my weight category. He's in my weight category.
I wondered what you said.
You never know. Yeah.
Your voice just went a little bit distorted as you were saying that. He's in your what? Wow, I mean, he's a good-looking guy.
He's in my weight category at jiu-jitsu, so you never know. I look forward one day one of the bigger tournaments that he might kick my ass. But it'd be worth having a go though. It'd be nice to say
on that note, I suggest we move on to the next instalment of Drop Zone, and that is Open Your Eyes.
They are open.
Good. You got the blurb on this one, Mr. Summers?
I've got it right in front of me now. In Open Your Eyes, Jason Miller dives headfirst into his newest screenplay in an attempt to avoid dealing with a traumatic experience. With his mental state teetering on the edge, he meets Lisa, his neighbor from down the hall, and a relationship begins to form. As he becomes more intrigued with Lisa, Jason continued to burn the midnight oil to finish his script. Strange and mysterious things begin to happen, causing him to question everything. With his mind unraveling and his life spinning out of control, Jason struggles to hold on to the one thing he wants most: hope. I think it looks good.
That almost merged into the opening of Sam Beckett, and
there was a bit in that.
His next leap will be his leap home.
There was a bit halfway through that I thought I'd turned into Crichton from Red Dwarf. But,
we all know.
But no, I'm just checking. Some people might not, and if they don't, they should Google it and go and watch it. But no, I'm liking the look of this. It seems it's one of the more intriguing things in the Drop Zone this week. Although I think I've already worked out what it is.
Yeah, same here by the trailer. But yeah, definitely floats my boat. There's a mystery. Yeah, there's a mystery that needs to be solved. Hopefully they haven't given it away in the trailer.
Yeah,
and hopefully also they don't
as well
sort of signpost it everywhere throughout the entire film.
I think they've signposted it in the trailer.
Well, yeah, but kind of just hoping it's not the obvious.
Yeah, but it does say that it is a genre-bending blend of thriller, mystery, drama, and horror.
Didn't look
So
like
you never
it.
know. Never know. Oh, you weren't keen on this one, were you? I can tell in your voice.
I don't know why I was so negative about this.
He's just had enough.
Well,
I mean, for people listening, we've had an hour of technical issues where we lost sound and audio and all sorts. So we've struggled a bit tonight, and I think it's certainly taken its toll on Paul.
No, but he said he hated it at the beginning.
I didn't say I hated it. I think
you said we're going to do that one. It's rubbish. And I was like, yeah.
My issue with it, and it's probably no reflection on the actual film itself, I'm just a bit tired of films about writers. And this film is suffering from.
Well, you've got to stop watching Murder, She Wrote.
No, but I think I blame Stephen King.
No one stop watching Murder, She Wrote.
The amount of books he writes about writers as the main protagonist, and this one seems of that same ilk. It's like, I'm a writer, I'm going to write a story about a writer because that's what I know. Oh, and I'm going to try and get add in some plots and twists. And I think the other thing, which again, no reflection on this trailer whatsoever, but the other thing that's put me off about it is the title, because it's Open Your Eyes. And there was an old film, mid-90s, Open Your Eyes, which then went on to be Vanilla Sky.
Mm-hmm.
They remade
I
it.
did think that when I first saw the trailer.
And I think in the back of my head that's just playing on me again through no fault of this film. But I don't know. Was I blown away by the trailer? No, not really. No, I'm going to let you guys watch it first.
Sky. Well, I remember watching Vanilla Sky, and as soon as his phone rang, I was like, I know what this is. And that was it.
Not that we're talking about Vanilla Sky on this episode, but I quite liked Vanilla Sky, and that kind of got me into Sigur Rós and some of their good stuff as well. They did a lot of the soundtracks to that, and as I say, bit of a tangent, but I think those two things combined have put me off of the preview of the trailer. But as I said, I'm going to let you two watch it and see whether it's a thumbs up or thumbs down for delving my toe into the water of Open Your Eyes.
Open your... Yeah,
there we go. So that's Open Your Eyes then.
So 2 thumbs up, 1 thumbs down.
Yeah. Next, we have got United States of Horror.
Oh,
I'm sure we have some blurb.
Well, we have, and I think you might like this one, Damien, because it's an anthology.
It is. So it's right on my flagpole. Definitely right on my flagpole.
You like an anthology. It's an anthology of short films from every single state in the USA. United States of Horror. Call for entries for chapter 2 and 3 as well, and it's curated by some big names, including Pinhead himself, Doug Bradley, and each chapter is comprised of exciting and terrifying shorts by the very best up-and-coming young filmmakers across the USA. Chapter 1 drops this Halloween in October, just in case you didn't know when Halloween was, with 2 and 3 dropping early next year. And, it's a big project that's going across, and it's given a lot of independent filmmakers a chance of getting seen. So I'm a big positive on that to start with. The trailer looks like a mashup of every film you've ever seen, but I get that because that's what they're going for. They're trying to draw you in. If you like horror, there's something in there for you.
Yeah, I mean, when I first read the blurb, my first thought actually was, I've got some pretty terrifying shorts in my laundry basket. But other than that, as I said, it's right up my flagpole. Love horror anthology stuff like that. Once I saw the trailer, my excitement did dip a little because, lots of fangs, lots of generic monsters that we've seen before. And I'm a little bit concerned that someone's just collated a load of creepypastas and turned them into various short films. But hopefully I'm wrong and it's going to be good. We shall see. Paul?
I think I put something. My phone's turned off, but when I was doing the notes for this, I think I put something. I'm probably too excited by this trailer due to my lack of seeing decent horror films, and I'm crying out for something good, and that's probably, steering my judgment and getting my hopes up. which is probably going to be down when it comes out. But from the little snippets that you see, there seems to be some good bits, some good enemies or bad characters in there. You're right, Damien. There's the typical cheaper looking. He's got some fangs compared to some what actually looks like some really good special effects.
When I first heard about it, and then it being about different, a horror story from each state, part of me thought maybe that it would be one part of me, and still hoping that it's going to be looking into the sort of the lore as in of those states,
the folklore,
and the wild men in the woods and that sort of stuff, and ghost stories of Maine and all that sort. Yeah, Jersey Devil, all of that kind of. It would be looking at that, and maybe some of them will do, but I didn't get that from the trailer. But
they just need Foo Fighters to do the soundtrack. one soundtrack of every state. Yeah, go that extra mile from the album they did a few years ago.
Probably have that penned in a week.
Probably already waiting to release it now.
Yeah,
but now I'll give it a thumbs up, because I think even if half of it was awful, there might be that one little bit in there that might give someone that chance and go on and change the face of horror forever.
But I think that's similar to the comments we made the other week about Love, Death and Robots, or whatever it was. Is that actually, yes, there's some detritus or rubbish in there, but actually there's some really good stuff in there as well. So you're right, if that can showcase some up and coming talent, and and from purely a watcher's perspective, if there's something really cool to keep me going, then fine. My concern is if there's like 50 odd of them, how long are these films going to be, and is it literally just going to be a 10-minute film, and how much do you actually invest in that? I don't know, but as I said, let's just wait and see once we know a bit more.
My worry is it's like 30 different versions of a vampire and then 20 goblins or something. So, but who knows?
Now there's a film.
Are you saying that you're upset that goblins wouldn't get a fair shake because there's only 20 of them against 30 vampires?
Oh, goblins v vampires.
Justice for goblins, is that what
goblins would win out each time?
You do like a good goblin.
I do like a good goblin. Anyway, on that note, let's move on to our final drop zone candidate, The Neighbour.
The Neighbour.
Season 2, I believe.
It's season 2. It is a sequel season, yeah. I never even realised there was a... there was a season 1, if I'm honest, but I saw it. It's created by Miguel Esteban and Raul Navarro, and season 2 of The Neighbour takes place just when, I guess it's Javi, thinks he's conquered being Earth's superhero, but then new challenges arise from an unlikely competitor and some extraterrestrial visitors. And then, because it's funny, if you need saving, don't call him. The Neighbour returns to Netflix May the 21st. So this was a brand new thing on me, and it kind of reminded me a bit of like Kick-Ass or something like that. But it does seem to have a bit of charm about it. I don't know what anyone else thought.
Well, my thought is I've got enough problems with superheroes that speak English to then have to go and watch one that's subtitled. It's not going to happen for me. So...
Your days of watching subtitled films, though, Damien.
It's not. Don't go down this route again. I have no problem with subtitled films, and I have no problem with dubbed films. But I do have a problem with superhero films that I then have to read.
Like a comic?
Yeah, like a comic.
What did you think, Paul?
So, I think you're right with your take, but it made me want to go and check out the first season just to see again if it's. I got a bit worried if this is season 2. What actually happened in season 1 though, because it almost looked like this is the start of the journey, as opposed to a continuation. But again, I don't know. Season 1 obviously just skipped me by somehow. Probably because I didn't have a podcast like this to listen to.
Well, it's Netflix algorithm doesn't work.
Yeah. But I mean, I'm trying to watch European films. But yeah, I mean, as you say,
you've been trying to watch European films for years.
But I think you're right. There seems to be There seemed to be some good funny bits in it. It did, it's not taking itself seriously. It's more that kick-ass type superhero. It looks okay. It's not gonna. I don't think I'm gonna rock my world, and I'll probably forget about it tomorrow. Until I listen back to the podcast and think, yeah, I might need to go and check out season 1. Who's it made by? Who's it directed by and made by again? What were their names?
It's created by Miguel Esteban and Raul Navarro.
Yeah, I mean that's the other thing, that the lead characters from City of Gold have actually managed to make a season of films nowadays.
At least they made something I want to watch now. I'm fed up with the City of Gold.
One day you will find the City of Gold, Brett.
You already live in it.
I was almost going to sing it, but that would be too high pitched.
Yeah, and we can't afford it.
No one needs to hear that. Cool, I think that's it for the drop zone. So that must mean only one thing. It's news time. News desk.
The news.
News items. Wow.
I'm ready for
no expenses spared.
I was going to say
making this podcast.
I am so hyped for the news now.
I mean, the really scary thing is, when you watch Wayne's World back again, and you realise that actually they were producing a show with no budget whatsoever, they still managed to do a really good job with their captions, didn't they?
You realise Wayne's World had a whole TV network behind it, really, don't you? They weren't really in his basement.
Shut up, Brett. That's not
Don't spoil his late teens, early 20s.
Yeah, although that was when Saturday Night
Early teens.
that was when Saturday Night Live actually used to be funny, as opposed to just getting any billionaire off the street or Launchpad to come and be a guest host on their show.
Yeah, Saturday Night Live does suck now. But so what's on the news desk,
That's
Damian?
not news, though, is it? Everyone knows that. So first up on the news is an American Werewolf in Rome.
Oh,
now,
yes.
This is being touted. I think it's been written, but it isn't necessarily being greenlit by any studio. I think it's just being touted around Hollywood.
Yeah, it's got the. I've got the blurb.
It's got the blurb.
40 years after John Landis's Heritage Lycanthrope took to London, an American Werewolf is set to howl again. Yeah, I know. They do like.
Sorry. After what took to
after 40 years after John Landis made a great
about lichen
horror film,
the thing that grows on trees, yeah.
Lycanthrope. It's a werewolf. It's a posh word for it, Paul. I'm reading the copy. This is what they have provided.
Carry on, English teacher.
Yeah. So 40 years after John Landis made a film about a werewolf that banged Jenny Agutter, we're back to the American Werewolf is set to howl again, this time in Rome. The brainchild of actor, writer, and director and producer Hunter G. Williams, an American Werewolf in Rome will pay tribute to the 1981 film while offering its own unique spin on the subgenre. Currently being shot. That's right. There's more yet, mate.
They haven't finished. They really haven't.
The script is described as a horror comedy that serves as a love letter to the classic werewolf film, whilst also showcasing the epic history of Rome. And then there's some comments in that, but that's the main bit we need to know. So it's there. It's being shopped around. They've got the scripts ready. Do we need another sequel to an American Werewolf in London?
Hold on.
Absolutely not.
The blurb that says "pay tribute to," i.e., we got the rights potentially for the name of it. That's it. And show off Rome. We're going to set it in Rome.
Yeah.
There we go.
I think just make a werewolf film. Don't even associate it to an American Werewolf in London, because
by all means pay tribute to it, but
shockingly shite. It's god awful film.
Yeah, but what you're forgetting, Damien, this is a completely different one. This is a tribute to the original, and it's not set in Paris or London.
It's in Rome. It's in Rome, didn't you hear?
They're going to shoehorn some link in back to the American Werewolf in London.
I'd love it if there was
It just shouldn't.
just on a few streets down from the main facade precinct in Rome. There's just an old English pub.
Yeah.
The Brian Glover Inn.
It just goes for a vino in. I'd love that. That would be playing tribute to the first one.
It would be. I think you've already just made a better film in your head, Paul. To be perfectly honest.
I don't think it's going to be difficult.
Yeah,
it may not top 30 vampires v 50 goblins. That we've already got in our back pocket of film ideas, but I don't know. I mean, and again, this is something else we talked about in regards to sequels being done so many times, just because people are running out of anything original.
Yeah, but there's things like vampires, werewolves. I can't think of any. Those classic kind of horror goblins. Those horror genre classics.
Zombies.
Zombies. Yeah, you can make those. You don't have to link them back to a great film. Just make another. I mean, Dog Soldiers, brilliant werewolf film. Doesn't need to be linked back to anything. So if you want to make a werewolf film and set it in Rome, just make it, but don't call it an American Werewolf in Rome. Just call it Werewolf in Rome. I don't care what you call it, to be fair, honest.
To me, it almost implies that actually the script isn't great already, because they're just using the name of the first film just to try and get a franchise that isn't a franchise restarted.
Yeah,
Werewolves of the Colosseum.
There you
Werewolves
go.
Of
That's
the
already
Colosseum.
a better title.
Fighting Lions. There you go. That's their backstory. You see.
And it's going to be part of the same universe as Vampires Come a Goblin. Our other film.
Yeah. Do we have any more to say about an American Werewolf in Rome?
It's exactly what you said. This could be an amazing film, but because they've hung it on American Werewolf in London, it's going to get compared to the get-go, and it's going to fall short.
Yeah.
And
it won't be as good. It's just impossible to be as good.
Well,
even if it
Glover's
is
not
an
good
awesome film.
anymore, so
Yeah,
it won't
exactly.
be.
So I think they should just leave one alone, make a brand new werewolf film, not associate it to that original, and be done with it.
Yeah, I mean, even you could throw in the odd vampire in there, and maybe a high school, girl that has a crush on the vampire or something. Just something original.
What about Roman dog soldiers? Oh,
Yeah, that's a good one. Okay, let's move on. You got some other news, I believe, that's not written on my notes that you mentioned earlier.
I thought you had that news.
No.
You two finally time and not. What is this big news that you're keeping still on about?
You have some cancellation news.
I do. I thought you had a couple of things for the news that you hadn't added on.
Let me just look. Other news, you say? Yeah, we got loads. One of the biggest things to come out recently is that the new documentary on the trail of Bigfoot, The Journey, is hitting on demand this June.
Have they found him?
Yeah, he was in Rome. That was the whole thing. This is the sequel to that one. It wasn't a werewolf all along. It was Bigfoot in an outfit. He was trying to throw him off the scent. So anyway, following a wild success in 2020 with the release of Mark of the Bell Witch and the Mothman Legacy, Small Town Monsters have announced the release of their latest documentary on the trail of Bigfoot, The Journey. The Journey is the follow-up to the miniseries On the Trail of Bigfoot, and cryptid documentarian Seth Breedlove leads the Small Town Monster team deep into his hunt for the Sasquatch.
So hold on.
Looking good.
Is this actually a documentary, or is it a spoof documentary?
No, it's a documentary. These guys are awesome.
Right. Okay. No, I just needed to clear that up. Yeah, because in my head, I wasn't sure whether it was a Blair Witch type.
No. These guys take it all very seriously.
I was going to say, I'll tag you on this bit, Damien. Off you go.
Oh well, I obviously haven't seen the documentary. Funny enough, I haven't seen the Mothman one they've done actually. The Bell Witch one was really good. If you don't know the Bell Witch story, it's well worth checking out. But they're their take on it, the documentary they did about it was really good. It gives all the detail, everything you could possibly need to know and want to know about them. Did I say Blair Witch then?
No, Blair Witch.
Blair Witch in my head. The Blair Witch is a compelling story on its own. If you were to just read like the short folklore bit on it on probably any website you can find, but these guys go real deep into the whole history of it and then its effect on future generations and stuff like that. So if it's going to be anything along those lines, then it's onto a winner as far as I'm concerned. I'm not a I'm not a big Bigfoot believer per se. I'll watch the odd documentary, listen to the odd podcast about it, but as far as cryptids,
wear the t-shirts, sign up, go on the tours out
I've
in
signed
America.
up for the equivalent of SETI for Bigfoots.
Yeti.
If that's the. Oh, very good, like that.
No, I never used to believe it. I saw that clip of him walking along. So there you go.
That's a Gimlin one.
Where are you on Bigfoot, Paul?
It's probably the same as I am with the Loch Ness monster. I don't know. I think like a lot of things you kind of put off, or I'm put off by the amount of rubbish out there, and the weird, I was going to say fans, but those weird Bigfoot hunters that just take it one step beyond. I mean, if this is if these documentaries are actually quite good and go into details.
They're not. These guys don't sort of do the sensationalist nonsense, and they're not the where you see in a lot of these type of things where they've got the camera, they've got the night vision and all that sort of malarkey, but the camera's then facing the guy who's doing some talking, and then it's like, did you hear that? That was they don't do that. It's proper investigative.
But I guess it's like everything, though, isn't it? Because if you're watching a Loch Ness monster documentary, the fact that it's not on the news means that they didn't find him. so it's kind of like spoiler alert. We went looking, we didn't find him. Otherwise, it would all be solved, and you'd have all heard about it.
I've just got the Family Nest tune in my head now. If anyone remembers that classic cartoon.
Yeah, obviously.
But yeah, I'm going to watch it. It's on my list.
Cool. Yeah, I'll probably watch it if it is on. Those sort of documentaries, I've seen a lot of them, but those guys are good. So I may do that. But some of them you're like, it gets repetitive. But I know those guys will have a fresh take on it, so it probably will draw me in more.
Yeah, to be fair, I'll pretty much watch most of the stuff that I'd certainly watch anything those guys do. But I end up watching a lot of Bigfoot and wild men documentaries. I just end up watching a bunch of rednecks running around with a shotgun, thinking they've seen something. Exactly. I don't know what it is. It's on Amazon. I couldn't even tell you what it's called. I don't even know how I managed to find it, and I haven't found it since. But I watched 3 hours of a bloke with a steady cam every morning, just going out into the woods.
And there we go.
Yeah. And he's like,
I think that was me.
This twig wasn't here yesterday, and it's here now. It's an offering.
Well,
before I know it, I'd watched 3 hours of this nonsense. So
I'm sure Bill Aldi's got something similar on one TV channel out there still.
UK
Bill Aldi's a legend.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. And finally, on the news desk, the opening scene of Spiral from the Book of Saw has been released online. We've got an article on it on cultfaction.com, but this is the follow-up to all the Saw films, and now it's called Spiral. So we've got a criminal mastermind unleashes a twisted form of justice in Spiral, this terrifying new chapter from the Book of Saw. That didn't make sense. Their grammar is shit. Wait, let me start that again. A criminal mastermind has unleashed a form of justice in Spiral, the terrifying new chapter from the Book of Saw. That should be a full stop. Working in the shadows of his father, an esteemed police veteran, Samuel Jackson, brash detective Zeke Banks, Chris Rock, and rookie partner Max Minghella take charge of a grisly investigation into the murders that are eerily reminiscent of the city's gruesome past. Unwittingly entrapped in a deepening mystery, Zeke finds himself at the center of the killer's morbid game, and it comes out on May the 14th.
Is it cinemas or
At the VOD? It's saying cinemas, but everyone does at the moment, and then it just turns up online, doesn't it? So, but the opening scenes there is the guy in the cloak with the pig mask.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to turn this into a drop zone conversation, but I saw the trailer for this a while back. I think I'm just sick of Saw, so this is going to have to be pretty awesome to kind of pull it all around again. We shall see. Yeah,
I'll end up watching it at some point. I'm not rushing out to watch it. But if it's on or it's on Sky, I'll end up watching it.
That's why I think it was on, whether it was cinemas or on demand. Because if it's on demand, then there's probably more chance that I might watch it.
Yeah, because the first Saw was an amazing film.
Yeah,
it was brutal. Second one was quite clever and very good. Third one was all right, and then like a sequel go as the Law of Diminishing Returns, and it was just like, what twist can we put it in this time? And now it's him that done it, but it wasn't her. That was his sister, and that was her roommate, and that was her dog. And it's like, now we'll do, Saw in Rome or whatever else. It just went on, and it was just kind of like.
Well, it's a bit like Final Destination in the way that it had really good ideas. It's like killing people in really ingenuitive ways, And you're right, the first Saw film was brilliant, and I think I watched them all just because it's clever. It's like the Crystal Maze, but on steroids.
Lots of brutal death.
Yeah, but then it just did get a bit ridiculous. And the same with Final Destination. It's like the premise is actually really interesting, and it's nice seeing all the death scenes. It makes me sound like a weird sadist, but it's
no, but
clever.
Seeing the setup is really good. Yeah, it makes for a good.
But then you realise that there's actually nothing to back it up.
Yeah, it's the bits in between that let it down.
And similarly to this one, they did the whole storyline. They completed the storyline, then they really brought it back, and then they completed it again. So I don't know. Why bother now, apart from getting back on the cash cow? Yeah.
Okay, so that's pretty much it for the news. I've got some renewals and cancellations if you want to hear them.
Oh, I'm excited because I haven't checked out any of this yet.
I haven't got a lot. I haven't.
Is this like a birthdays and marriages?
Yeah,
it's like pretty much section. Yeah.
The back pages.
I apologise in advance to our listeners as I don't know these, so my reactions to this may be of. As we say, it's called. It may be a no-no word.
The ones that I've got written down, but anyway. So
that's what I mean. I don't know any of that. Oh.
Irregulars isn't getting a second season. I don't think after my scathing review, if you bothered to watch it in the first place. So
no.
I've got them
on the box, so I'll just delete those then.
Well, I mean, if from memory, it doesn't actually end on the cliffhanger, so it won't be that kind of annoying. You've watched an entire season and then they're not making it again. It does wrap up, but. Yeah, no second season for that. I'm not particularly bothered.
So is that? Do you think that was a plan, not a second series, or was it just? Do you think a one-season story?
I don't think it was planned. I think they were I think I remember reading an interview with the guy that wrote it, and it's something that he'd been working on for donkey's years, and something he'd always wanted to get made, and he had a whole kind of batch of stories to run along.
Okay then.
But no,
that was because that always annoys me sometimes. They go, "Oh, it's been cancelled." It's like, well, no, that was all it was going to be. It was only going to be 10 episodes. That was it. It was like
to be fair, when Netflix do that, they tend to put limited series on their blurb, don't they?
Yeah.
Rather than new series or season 1 or whatever, they'll put limited season.
We're just going to take a punt with. $30 million and see what happens.
Yeah, but anyway, so that's not getting renewed. Prodigal Son has been cancelled after 2 seasons. I haven't started.
That was supposed to be really good.
I really enjoyed the first one, but I was not watching the second season until there's. I think it's not even come over here yet, actually. Or if it has, I've only got 2 or 3 links on my planner. So I was waiting for that to get a little chunk of them together. So
that's been getting good reviews though. So is that another one where it has reached its ending, or is it?
No, according to what I read this afternoon, the live as you watch ratings have been plummeting over the course of season 2, and they've been doing sort of stunt casting. They had Catherine Zeta-Jones in it apparently, to try and boost the ratings, and they've had a few other guest stars, but it hasn't done anything to increase its ratings, so they've cancelled it. So hopefully it doesn't end on a cliffhanger, because I still want to watch it because I enjoyed the first season. So I still will watch the second season, but we shall see. Maybe there's more. It could be, COVID might be playing a part because it's Michael Sheen.
Yeah, that's true.
Who's obviously based in Wales, and it's.
Sorry, it's who?
Yeah, I knew. As I said, this my voice dropped a little bit as I started talking about. Oh God, I've said his name, but
because I coughed when you started, so I missed what you actually saying had been binned off. So it's been binned, is it?
Yeah.
Fantastic.
So that's the cancellations. There's a couple of renewals. Big Sky is getting a season 2.
Okay, I'll watch that now.
Yeah, I've still got some episodes left to finish. I thought I'd finished it because the last episode I watched ended in a kind of this is the end of the season.
Which one was Big Sky again?
It's the Stars Disney Plus thing. We've talked about it quite a bit.
Yeah, no, I know. Which one?
The picture of it is the picture on when you go on it is of a big sky.
Yeah, with a bird in it.
Thanks, Brett.
I think it's like an eagle.
No, it's like it's a murder mystery, isn't it?
Well, there's no mystery because it's.
Oh yeah, we know what happened, but we got to see them solve it.
So it's not a murder mystery. Is there a murder?
There's multiple.
There is a. But we know, yeah, that's right, because it's told with dramatic irony, isn't it? So the audience are in on it, but the characters aren't. So we've got that extra bit of tension of like,
exactly.
It's him, don't hug him or her.
Doing some investigation, and then you're watching the crimes as they unfold as well.
Yeah, it was the dog. The dog did it.
You just don't listen to what we say, do you, Paul?
You
just sit there, wait for your bit to speak, and then you shut off again.
Right, it's just like the film we saw earlier, that we previewed earlier. There's so many different similar sounding names out there now. So Big Sky sounds like something else that I've seen with a very similar sounding name.
Yeah, but we don't cover films on those channels.
So that's Big Sky getting season 2, and pretty much all of the CW Arrowverse / Spandex stuff has been renewed. All the stuff that you expect to be renewed anyway.
But you like the Arrowverse.
Well, I liked the Arrowverse. I haven't even started season 7 of Flash.
Well, it's not been on over here yet. You're right. Most of it hasn't been on in this side.
Whichever what I haven't even seen the last season.
Oh no, 6. You haven't missed much.
So
what's the last episodes? The last 2 episodes or so are worth watching.
I never even made it to the crossover event.
Oh no, you need to watch that. That was really good. That was when it was like, like we've done everything we can that's going to be good now. Because we've got to this point now. We're like, we spent 6 years building to this, and now like we weren't sure we were going to get to this, and now we're not really sure what to do next. That was kind of like their peak. They got to their Avengers Endgame, and it was like, shit, what do we do now? Oh no, that's cool though. I like that. They could do a few different ones. Legends is still worth a watch.
Yeah, I do like Legends. Definitely like Legends. Doesn't take itself too seriously. It's always good.
Yeah, that's probably my favourite out of all of them now.
Yeah, but anyway, that's all I've got for renewals and cancellations as we go to press. Or more will come out over the course of the week because it's that time of the year and it's the season for renewals and cancellations and stuff.
I spent all day nervous.
Yeah, exactly. I think
that's
like
it for news. Season.
It might as well be for me.
It's like the draft in NBA.
Yeah.
Okay, I think that's it. I think that is Cult Faction podcast, episode 12, done and dusted. So thank you for listening. As always, rate and review us on whatever podcast app you choose to listen to us on. If you want to get in contact with us for any particular reason, hate mail, love mail, general feedback, feel free. The address is cultfactionpodcast@mail.com. I think all that's left to say is goodbye. Anyone else want to say goodbye, or is it just me?
Well, Paul was second, so I was waiting for Paul.
You said it so succinctly that I just didn't want to interrupt. It's like, bye, Damian. Bye. So, yeah, good night, dear listeners. Sleep well.
And this is Brett Summers on KJCM. Good night, listeners, wherever you are.
Superman.
I look forward to these nights.
Sorry, did you hear that?
I'm going to have to do something. The nerds will be screaming at their loudest voices.
What do you mean he doesn't like capes? Off with his head.
He's one of those capists.